Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you. I hope all is well on your side. We're going to start with our seminar today. Welcome all to our second annual Young Professional Seminar in the Eastern Cape region in collaboration with the Counselling and Career Development Directorate. My name is Solofelo Kaswane. I am honored to be your program director today. Our program is packed, colleagues, with insightful session, inspiring speakers, and we are going to have a valuable discussion, all just designed to help you to navigate your career and growth both personally and professionally. We have in our midst our guest and Unisa Alumni who are making a significant impact in their respective field, and their success is stand as a testament to the powerful of education and professional growth. They will share their expertise and experience with us. And before we begin, I would like to just go through a few housekeeping rules just to ensure everything is run smoothly. With regards to time allocation, we're going to allocate each speakers 50 minutes for their presentation. And if you see myself turning on the video through the presentation, that will be a signal that your time is up. And please, let's ensure that our video and microphone is on mute when you are not speaking. You are going to be allocated question and answer session to you. We are going to give you an opportunity to ask question, and also you can use chat, and then that will be facilitated by our colleagues. I also encourage to be engaged, and let's use this opportunity today to learn and to connect colleagues. To kick-start our seminar, it is my pleasure to introduce our esteemed regional director from our region, Mr. Kwang, who will deliver his welcome address and officially open our second annual Young Professional Seminar. Mr. Kwang, thank you so much. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Program Director, Mr. Solofelo Kaswane. My name is Motaleng Kwang, the Regional Director of the Eastern Cape, as has been introduced. Colleagues from the DCCD, Mrs. Makanya, Ms. Drezel, Dr. Ndlela, Ms. Somtseu, and Dr. Sichange. Our keynote speaker, Mr. Vuyo Pakade, the co-founder and the CEO of the Propela, Ms. Thembi Nziane, the CEO of Mothudi Services, Mr. Tshepo Mothudi, the Chief Risk Officer at the Central University of Technology, Adv Happy Nkabinde, the Advocate of the High Court of South Africa, Professor Usisipho Feleni, who is a lecturer at Unisa Institute of Nanotechnology and Water Sustainability, our student mentor and the poet, Ms Thembi, fellow colleagues, students, a very good morning to you all. I'm honored to bid a warm welcome to the second Young Professionals Seminar, hosted by the Eastern Cape region of Unisa. Today we gather to connect, to inspire, and to learn from each other. To our distinguished guests, we are grateful for your presence and willingness to share your experiences with our students. This seminar is a vital part of our core curricular activities, designed to bridge a gap between academia and the world of work. We aim to empower our students with knowledge, skills, and networks to succeed in their chosen careers. As the renowned scholar Angela Duckworth once said, I quote, "Grit is the ability to work hard for a long time without losing enthusiasm. And resilience is the ability to bounce back from setbacks, close quote. Today, we will hear from our young professionals who have embodied grit and resilience in their journeys. The journey to success is rarely easy, but it's doable. Our young professionals are here today, are testament to this. They will share their stories, the challenges and triumphs, offering valuable insights and lessons learned. As Nelson Mandela so amply put it, I quote, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. It is the key to unlock the golden door of freedom. It is the tool that can change a child who is born in a mine to become the owner of the mine," close quote. Today's program boasts an impressive lineup of speakers featuring our keynote speaker, Mr. Vuyo Pakade, who is the CEO and the founder of the Propela. Joining him will be Ms Thembi Nziane, the CEO of Mothudi, Mr. Tshepo Mothudi, the Chief Risk Officer at the Central University of Technology. Again, in our lineup, we'll have Advocate Happy Nkabinde, who's going to share his experiences from the legal fraternity. And also, we will have our own Professor Feleni, who is currently the lecturer at Unisa College. Prepare to be inspired by these thought leaders. You students, I encourage you to engage, to ask questions, and absorb the wisdom shared today. This is your opportunity to learn from those who have navigated the path ahead of you. I would like to express my who have worked tirelessly to bring this event to fruition. The collaboration between the Eastern Cape Student Councillors and the Central Department of Career and Counselling Development has been instrumental in making this second Young Professional Seminar a reality. Your dedication and hard work have not gone unnoticed. Keep up the excellent work, colleagues. Let us make the most of this seminar and make it inspire us to work towards together a bright future. I thank you and let the seminar begin. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kwang, our Regional Director in Eastern Cape, for your warm and inspiring welcoming address. You have indeed, your word set a positive tone for the day ahead, and to also set the tone for today's event and share the purpose of the seminar. It is also my pleasure to introduce Dr. Zama Sichange from Unisa Counselling and Career Development in the Eastern Cape. Over to you, Dr. Sichange. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khaswane, our program director for today's event. To our regional director, Mr. Kwang, the regional management, distinguished guests, colleagues from DCCD Central Office, Mrs. Makanya and Ms. Daisel, colleagues from 3 offices of the Eastern Cape, SRC members present here, students, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. The purpose of Young Professional Seminar is to engage and motivate our students, especially those who are in their final year and in postgraduate levels. This event is also important for students who will be engaging in their career search and development next year. On this day, young professionals who are our graduates, are invited as speakers to share their experiences as to how they navigated their journeys
How was it?
while studying with Unisa and beyond, up to where they are in their professional careers. Speakers on this day also share about challenges and struggles that they experienced while studying and how they managed and conquered them. This event is meant to encourage, motivate our students. At this time of the year, we hope that sitting in the audience of our honorable speakers, including our keynote speaker, will encourage, motivate, and challenge us as Unisa students to strive to reach our career aspirations. We also believe that there will be a great takeaway for all of us present here. Thank you very much, colleagues. Thank you, Program Director.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chanje. Thank you so much, ma'am, for outlining the purpose of today and setting the tone of our discussion. We now understand the significance of this event and the opportunity is going to present for our students. Colleagues, it is now again my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker. To provide this introduction, please join me again to welcome Ms. Makanya from the Counselling and Career Development to introduce our distinguished keynote speaker, Mr. Vuyo Pakade. Ms. Makanya, over to you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Program Director Sam. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mandu Makanya. It gives me pleasure and honor to introduce our speaker and our keynote speaker for today. Ladies and gentlemen, he is a dynamic young entrepreneur and leader with an economics background whose career journey exemplifies innovation, strategic thinking, and a passion for driving social change. Having qualified from Monash University in 2016 and later completing a social entrepreneurship course at Gibbs Business School, he began his professional path at Kula Investments Group as a project manager, where he honed his skills in managing medium to large-scale projects, impacting youth and women in rural areas, cultivating strategic partnerships, and leading diverse teams. Ladies and gentlemen, our keynote speaker, his time at Kula provided him with a strong foundation in business development and gave him a front row seat to seeing the catalytic impact that investments in sustainable projects can have on underserved communities. Driven by his commitment to youth empowerment and addressing educational inequality. Ladies and gentlemen, our keynote speaker founded Fonda Africa, a platform focused on making tertiary education more accessible to underprivileged students across South Africa. Through this organization, he helped bridge the gap between students and the resources they needed to succeed in both university and the workplace, showing his dedication to solving societal changes through technology, where he was recognized at 26 as one of South Africa's top 200 youth by Mail and Guardian in 2020. Building on the early success of Fonda, Vuyo co-founded Propela Labs, where he currently serves as CEO at Propela Labs. He leads efforts to unlock global career pathways for young African talent by providing artificial intelligence-powered tools that connect skilled young professionals with international employers, starting with the health sector. His work at Propeller Labs places him at the intersection of the future of work and future of talent, using data and technology to create equitable career opportunities for Africa's next generation. Our speaker, ladies and gentlemen, his career highlights his ability to drive impactful change across industries, all while staying true to his mission of breaking down barriers for others to reach their full potential. His journey from managing projects at Kula Investments Group to launching Foda Africa and now Propela Labs showcases his entrepreneurial spirit, dedication to social innovation, and vision for a more inclusive and connected world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me pleasure to welcome on stage, on our virtual stage, Mr. Vuyo, our keynote speaker, Mr. Vuyo Pakade. Let us give him a warm virtual applause as he ascends our virtual stage. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Program Director Chair.
Thank you very much for the introduction. It's highly appreciated, and thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today. It's really truly an honor on my side, having been in these seats not too long ago. In fact, I may have not graduated from Unisa, but I did do a semester. Unfortunately, due to financial issues, I couldn't finish, but I'm glad that this will pay it back in a way that I think is a lot more positive. So I will, when trying to, unfortunately, I can't share my screen. I'll need permission, but yeah. When trying to create the speech for today, I really wanted to dig deep into some of the things I wish I knew at the beginning of my career, some of the journey and the difficulties that I wish I was told ahead of my time. And so in today, I really, more than anything, want to share my personal journey, what's led me today to be where I am, and also beyond that, just some words of advice, of skills that I believe that the next generation will need to be able to traverse this journey of the employment landscape today. First and foremost, with young people today, I would like to always empathize, the difficulties that we face in today's job market. I think when we speak about the global landscape of jobs, this is probably the toughest time for young people, but it shouldn't be the toughest time for you to think about where you can be in life. In fact, the challenges of today are really presenting a lot of opportunities for the next generation to be able to conquer a lot of the challenges that they face themselves. And I hope that with sharing some of my journey and how I did a lot of that, it can also encourage you to be able to do that. But also be mindful that employment or entrepreneurship, let me say, is not necessarily for everyone. It does take a lot of grit and resilience. And so if you really believe in something and truly believe you want to make an impact, then I think you should walk the path, but not at all taking away from those that want to walk through employment. And I'll give you a little bit more of that as I go into it. But as I really start, I wanted to speak about the very beginning of my journey. Prior to joining Kula or even finishing university, I was actually studying accounting. So I was going down the CA route, drawn by my parents to become a CA. The whole spiel about how accountancy is going to be the one for me. I worked at PwC after my second year. Did a 6-month internship, which really shifted my perspective about accounting. Yes, I was able to do it very well. However, it really wasn't driving me and wasn't my passion. And when I got into the world of work, it really was a huge pivot for me in my career, because that's when I realized that it wasn't going to serve my interest as much as I would be serving others to go down that career path. So following that year, went back to university, and without telling my parents at all, I changed course. So I changed to doing economics in my third year, which meant I would have an extra year to do due to catching up on some of the subjects I've missed out on. And of course, I could only tell my mother when the report came back that, look, I got the distinctions, so at least you understand that I need one more year so I can actually get my degree. And luckily, she was able to give me the support to go on. But I think these early stages of my life, having been raised by a single mother, really drove some of the purpose that came later in my life. Why I mention this is that I was someone who was fortunate enough, the journey of my family was not the journey of mine. I was fortunate enough to be able to be able to go to university without having to require a scholarship. However, because I was raised by a single mother and I knew how much of a strain that was taking financially, I was always driven to try and find some means as an independent man to take over that. My family in itself, his life was changed by my mother's scholarship that she received after my grandfather paid with all inkomo zakhe wazithengisa zonke in the year to afford my mom 1 year of education. And she was lucky enough to have gotten a scholarship at the end of that first year, which she used to pay it forward to her brother, who had a 1 bus ticket to Fort Hare, and ended up studying agriculture solely because that was the only qualification at the time that was giving out scholarships. He then called his younger brother to come and also get a scholarship. I was in masiye Forte. Sizokwazi uyofumana scholarship, sifumane isikolo. And that is the turning point of my family. My grandparents were very big advocates for education, and really drove home that no matter what, my grandfather was a policeman, my grandmother stayed at home taking care of 6 kids, that no matter what, abantwana kufuneka sibafundise. And the power of that sentiment, especially when you're living in poverty, and giving all you can to making sure your kids get educated, is something that turned around my family's life. My mom went on to be a doctor. My uncle went on to be a businessman in the agricultural space. And essentially, they were able to drive home and take our situation from Ekai. And I know that story is not unique to many of us. I mean, it's not unique just to myself. I know that many of us go through that. So I want to know, and I want you guys to know, that the power of the education you've been given today, don't take it for granted. Use it as much as you can and where you can and as often as you can, because you never know the unlock factor that will have for the next generation. And so I say the story all to say that all of this is really what formulated my future around entrepreneurship. Being able to give back and help advance the next generation is because I know that many of the opportunities that would have not happened for me today, had my family or had my mother not gotten that scholarship opportunity, means that we wouldn't be able to do what we do today. And so I segue back into the beginning of my journey after university, having graduated from Monash with economics. I went on to then do an internship at Kula Investment Group. The reason how I even got that job is actually I came with this idea. The Fees Must Fall movement was a very difficult time that I know many of you currently may not understand, but some of us that were there at the time, 2015, the Fees Must Fall movement was a really big tipping point to understand how significant of a problem the lack of access to finance was limiting people's opportunities to a better future. And all young people wanted was a better future. And so post, finishing or post during that time, I really had this concept around how do we help enable people to get access to opportunities? How do we enable everyone to be able to find opportunities where they are? And we know how tough it is to apply to multiple scholarships. And so that was a big shift in my thinking of how do we build technology to make it easier. However, that idea stuck. It was just a written note in my phone. I later graduated and took this to my mentor to say, after varsity, this is what I want to do. I want to do this project. And he asked me one clear question: how are you going to make this a sustainable life? Forget that you're going to want to make it a business and all of that. How are you going to make it sustainable for yourself? Who are your partners going to be? All of the tough questions that you need to ask yourself when getting into entrepreneurship. And so at that time, I really put that idea back into my back pocket and took on an internship to really learn from him. Very great experience, having, at first been someone who comes to take meeting notes in meetings. All of that time was actually my self-learning. And so that will lead to my second, skill that you should actually always adopt, is always be learning. You should always be learning in any environment that you find yourself in, because it's not the lessons that are given by stopping you and telling you to learn. It's the ones that you learn by being absorbent of the spaces and environments you find yourself in. I used to find myself doing a lot of presentations that would need to be given. And for context, what we were doing at Kula Investment Group is actually working with private sector, partnering with communities to be able to unlock huge economic opportunities. So we grew macadamia nuts in partnership with communities and helped them unlock a whole new value chain in what they were doing. But my responsibility that I was given was to employ and actually help new venture creation for young women, for youth and women in this space. So while the macadamia space and the platform, it gave it the platform for, economic growth, I was tasked to help encourage the young people and women to create new businesses that would be able to leverage that early success. But a few years down the line, I'd done quite a few initiatives, helped a lot of these new ventures being created within the ecosystem. But one big strain for me was still that idea that's stuck in my head, that, there's young people that are unable to get access to education solely because they can't get access to, scholarship opportunities. And that still bugged me, even when I was in the rural development space. You send a lot of information to young people in these communities. However, no one has a PC. There's no PC shop nearby. Everyone has WhatsApp. And so we would always have to find a way to communicate these things still and help apply through that. That inspired really my thinking to say, listen, we need to do something about it. And I know now how I want to do it. But all the time, it was lingering that this is not sustainable yet. I don't know what I don't know, but yet, this is more comfortable and sustainable, and this job is paying my daily bills. So let me stay. And then things took a turn in 2018, when a very, very close friend of mine from childhood came back from his international trips. He was someone that wasn't told that he had many opportunities when we were in high school. He was told he doesn't have much potential, but he managed to get scholarships to go to Cyprus, to go to the US through his passion of tennis, and came back and lived a lot of life in such a short period of time. Tragically, in 2018, unfortunately, he was murdered, and it was such an abrupt moment where you start to realize that we don't have as much time as we always think we do. And so that stuck with me because it also showed that action has to be done every day. We're young people, but our young people shouldn't wait to be taken at positions or to be given the chance. I think we should take our own initiative in our own lives to really do the things that we want to do and get started where you are. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid of asking for help. Don't be afraid of starting not ready. In fact, even today, I was thinking back about really, am I dignified enough to be here? But reflecting on my journey, it was a really great moment to actually be able to highlight just some of the things that have led us here. So the adversity of that really shifted my thinking to say, I've had this idea for Funda for such a long time, yet I haven't pulled the trigger. I haven't moved forward with the idea. And I just haven't gotten started. So the following week after speaking at my friend's funeral, the first thing I did was come back and write down my idea on paper. It's always been on my phone, but I needed to actually jot it down into a document. And at this stage, just send it to anyone. Send it to anyone to hear my thoughts. Send it to anyone to give me feedback. Because for as long as the ideas we have are still stuck in our heads, they will never become fruition. They'll never come to fruition. So we really need to put ourselves out there, not be shy to put ourselves out there. I think the third skill there is really back yourself. Believe in yourself from the very earliest stages of your career. From the very earliest stages of your life, you need to always believe in yourself and the power that you have to change the world, and do the things that you really believe behind what you're saying. Fast forward a few years, we were fortunate enough, even though at the time this was just a pure idea, we started pitching it to a few people, and we were pulled into a competition that we were lucky enough to come second in the overall out of 2,500 ideas in South Africa. We were fortunate enough to get some level of funding to kickstart the idea and really get going on it. But again, just like any journey that doesn't have a straightforward pathway, 3 days after the funding had come in for us to start this journey, we heard the famous words of our president, my fellow South Africans, where it was time for lockdown. And so I am now 25-year-old who's just starting this business, ready to go out and had all these ideas. But now we have to navigate through what lockdown was supposed to be 14 days. And I'm sure everyone's uncertainty during that time reflected exactly how we didn't know what was going to happen. So of course we now had to pause. I just quit my job to start this business, and now I have so much uncertainty in my life as to where to now. How should we start this business? We on the media, we need to be pushing, but we also need to be very cognizant that we may not be able to do the same way we thought. And the world is changing at this moment, and so at that point we really had to dig deep and be brave. Adapt to the current circumstances and still move along. And so that year we launched a challenge for tutors and support for matriculants that were actually finishing. So we gave access to a few tutoring agencies and subsidized the cost for young matriculants that are actually going to go into matric at that time or finish off their matric exams. We launched a few challenges to still activate the youth, although it wasn't in the way that we had thought we were going to do it. We still wanted to activate the youth in one way or another. As you had heard in the introduction, my life's purpose has always been to break barriers for the next generation. And in all of these things that we've done, it was always speaking to that. From when I was working at Kula to when I started Funda, it was all about breaking barriers for the next generation of young people in Africa. Because I believe that we have what it takes to really take over the world and really lead the global economy. Our time for Africans and young Africans is now, and so we really need to be at the forefront of the change that we want to see. Following that whole time, really the biggest lessons through the difficulties of Funda and pivoting and changing course, all the time it was about adapting, and all the time it was about not being fearful to start, because starting is where you get the first bits of lessons that will help you really unlock what you want to do. The worst thing that can happen when you start something is to be told no, but you end up in the same position as not starting at all, but all you have more is lessons. And so I want to implore everyone that for that job opportunity you may not feel like you're qualified for that career opportunity or career jump or entrepreneurship jump you may feel that you're not ready for, you should always just apply yourself. Always put your best foot forward. Always try your level best to put yourself out there. And for everything that you don't know, ask for support, ask for help, get the people around you, get your mentors, because those people become very critical for you as you look to unlock some of the next levels. There's one huge mentor of mine now who said that the different versions and iterations of yourself that you want to become, you need to live ahead of that time. You need to be living ahead in the future. For example, if you're looking to run a marathon, you can't start by running 42 kilometers. You start by running 2, start running 5, start running 10 daily, and make it a habit and fulfill yourself within the journey of learning consistently. I do want to end off with the last part of the journey, which was with Funda. We had always had a goal. When we first started the idea, we were young. It was out of this world. We were like, we want to impact 1 million young people in Africa. It's still a very big mission, an ambitious mission. So people always would laugh at me and call me Vuyo the big dreamer. But this past year, my co-founder and I, having placed over 100 graduates to date now, asked ourselves one question. We wanted to start this business with a goal of getting impacting 1 million careers or young African careers by 2030. But is the way that we're doing it today really going to be able to achieve that at scale? We're now placing a lot of graduates. We're a talent agency for graduates. But are we really meaningfully doing what we said we were going to do? And so this year, we took another brave step. It also coincided with my 30th birthday. And so I always look at symbolism of the fact that on the 30th birthday, I was on my first trip to Ireland earlier this year to really now see how the international market will appreciate African graduates and help us take this thing to the next level. When we arrived, great story, talked about it, but a lot of people in their cultures that side weren't really looking for young African graduates and unproven talent. And so we saw that as not necessarily a rejection, but more of a challenge. There's one question about why African talent, why African youth, as opposed to Indian or Eastern European youth. And my answer to that was, if you work with an African or a young African, you'll never have to ask the question again. And so that goal or that challenge to us was, how do we come back and ensure that we can unlock these opportunities for the next generation? And so that is where we launched Propela. Propela Labs was centered around the idea that we already support graduates and early talent through Funda Africa. We do a lot of person-to-person interactions, but then there's that part of your career when you're bridging into your third year, you're going into mid-career, and you need to start navigating yourself into where you want to go. You need to be able to determine where you want to end up and start being self-driven towards that, unlike when you're handheld and early talent. And so Propela was born out of that, to build the tools to support the next generation in being able to self-navigate their own careers. So there's some exciting stuff that we're working on under Propela Labs, but I always centered around the idea that everything we do, all the partnerships we have, all the mentorships we take on, and even today, these auspicious occasions that we can actually come and say we are honored to be here, is because what we have always said is our purpose is to unlock and break barriers for the next generation. And any action that we take, any job that we take, has to always be aligned. And so I want to leave that as being some of the parting words, a parting message for something, is that you should always live and work in your purpose. For as long as something serves your purpose in life and serves you, then you can serve with your full heart. And so this at all doesn't feel like a job to me, more so than it feels like the destiny that we're supposed to live and the purpose that's been instilled in us. And so if you can find work and find opportunities, and even your studies that are aligned to your purpose, every other day will never feel like a job. And so I want to thank everyone for the time to have listened to my story. I do hope that for all that I say today, I wish I heard it when I was younger. I wish I was speaking to myself right now when I was leaving, to say, believe in yourself. Your potential is limitless. You have all the possibilities to unlock it. You just have to find your daily motivator to really push forward and push through the next day. Some days are tough, and many days are tougher than the top ones. But at the end of the day, you must always know that there's an end in mind. You must always have the end in mind and know that for all the daily struggles that could come, there's nothing bigger than the end win of when you overcome them. And so thank you very much. I don't want to take overly the time. I could really go on for days, but I really appreciate the moment to hear the journey, and I hope it inspires all of you to really, really take ownership and take control of your future. Thank you.
Wow. Let's give Mr. Vuyo, the big dreamer, a round of applause, colleagues. Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful and profound presentation. We are now going to engage you, and I will request also our students to really participate in this session, engaging you. And to facilitate our Q&A session, please let's welcome Ms. Nolwazi from the Counselling and Career Development team. Ms. Somseu will guide us through the question and answer. And also, Ms. Somseu, please, after you have facilitated and done with Q&A session, don't leave the stage, and I give you rights to equally give thanks and appreciation to Mr. Pakade for his contribution to this seminar. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Khaswana, Program Director. And I'm so overwhelmed, Vuyo, in terms of your presentations and also your insights and sharing about your journey. But let me give it over to the students. This is your opportunity. This is your big day. We have our CEO here, and we have a dreamer. We have someone who is insightful, goal-directed, and also who has the grit and the resilience. This is your opportunity. Please ask some questions. So we are going to be checking on chats if you have some questions as you were listening through to the presentation from Mr. Vuyo. And also questions, you can put up your hands so that we are able to engage him. We don't always have these opportunities as students, and this is one of those grand opportunities. So please don't miss out on it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Somtseu. Colleagues, students, this is your opportunity. It's going to be facilitated by Ms. Somtseu. You can raise up your hands. You can also use the chat for any question. Yes, I see 2 hands for now. Mr. Lugongo, over to you, sir. Mr. Lugongo?
Mr. Lugongo, over to you.
No, it's fine. I also see another hand. I don't know if you see it or the name is Somtseu. Over to you, ma'am.
Over to you.
Yes.
I can see. Thank you, Mr. Khaswana. Kamagwini, over to you.
Morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loudly and clearly. Over to you.
Okay. It's so, I don't know. I like the presentation, but for me personally, I'm getting a daily reminder of, oh my goodness, the stagnation on my side, because I'm literally the same age as Mr. Vuyo. We're literally the same age, and he's far ahead in his career, and for me, it's stagnation. So for me, I was afforded an opportunity by the Department of Science and Technology, and they said that I can't. I stay in Ekwabech, and they said that they couldn't find anything for me here in PE. They could only find opportunity for me in Cape Town, and I actually went through the interview, and then they said that I was accepted for the 2-year program. So I was very excited because this is my second degree, the one that I'm doing right now, right? Which is law. And my initial degree is marketing. So I'm doing something that is correlating to my first degree right now. So they said that they couldn't find anything for me here in PE again. And then they said that the only opportunity they could find for me is in Makhanda. Yes, that's what they said. So I'm wondering to myself, should I take that opportunity? Because they said that I am eligible for the program. I was supposed to start last month. Should I go and approach companies such as the municipality, Nelson Mandela Bay municipality, and say, listen, I'm stuck. I want to do the 2-year program, but no company is taking me in. I just want to know the methodology of approaching these companies, because at this point, I'm so tired of the stagnation. That's all I want to know.
Okay, thank you. We are going to take a second question. I'm sure Vuyo has made a note of this particular question, and thank you so much for sharing. I think it opens up the opportunity for others to also tap in and empathize with you as well. Sipolile, over to you. Let's hear your question or your comment. Okay, while we are waiting for Sipolile, perhaps Vuyo, if you can start to respond regarding that particular questions from her. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Magwini, for that. I really do understand, where you're coming from. And also over and above that, sympathize. I think one key point first, before I go into maybe my response to the job search side, and kind of things to think about, is on the first part. There's a friend of mine back in university who this still sticks with me to this day, who says that rather the person who spends the time sharpening the axe than the one hitting away or hacking away at a tree with a blunt one. And what that really meant, if you think about it, that everyone's time is different, right? you know, I would never want you to ever think there's stagnation in your life on the basis of comparing to another, right? Because I myself have done that a lot. I don't think at all that I'm where I've always wanted to be. And I've always been, that's been because of comparing, you know, to some of my other peers who are also ahead of me. But if there's one thing that everyone's timing is right, God's timing is onto their own. And so I want you to never be discouraged by that, or rather be inspired to know that it's possible. You can keep going, and you actually are in a good position. Don't be told by people that you're not the right side. That's I think what I want to empathize on the basis of that. And then maybe to respond to some of the actual tactics and techniques. One, I don't think you should limit yourself from any opportunities. At this stage, you should be putting yourself out there. And again, I would love to get a bit more sense of what it is exactly that you, outside of the programs, what is it you intend to do? Because I think having those qualifications combined is a whole new way, or new, you know, connection or type of archetype, which has its own potential to do significant things beyond. And so I'd love to connect with you afterwards and just hear a bit more about some of the challenges and see where we can support in any which way to help advance that. So I'm hoping that, you know, the team, we can get your contacts, and then from there be able to talk a little bit more.
There
Thank
you
so
have
much.
heard Kamagwini, the comments from Vuyo. I like that in a sense that he has shared with us that, you know, the self-comparison can really make you feel stuck and debilitated, and that's looking at it from a fixed mindset. And how we need to start viewing that is from looking at it from a growth mindset, whereby we are looking at what can we learn from the peers? How can we use their inspiration to help us to move forward with our own lives as well? So that is tapping at things from a growth mindset. There was another question that was, there was another hand from Sekolile. Are you able to share with us in terms of your question or your comment? I'm sure we will be able to, we still have time to be able to get to your question.
No, Rosie,
Yes.
he's having challenges unmuting, so I've asked him to post in the chat.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right, okay.
It's noted, but to you, Mr. Pakade, you highlighted an insightful point about technology that transform the job market and the future of work. And just for the strategy for this young professional seminar to be competitive, what do you see the most significant challenge young professionals face when trying to enter the global job market, especially looking those coming from the underrepresented region like Africa, because of you have successfully built a platform like Propela Lab to address this gap? And also, how do you think companies and institutions like Unisa, Institute of Higher Learning, can collaborate to ensure that young people are not only skilled but prepared for the future of job?
No, thank you for that question. It's an incredible question, and I think it's one that we are constantly looking to address. I think we've been I'd like to say privileged enough to have this big problem that we need to address. And it might sound confusing that we take it as a privilege. It's more so that it has forced us to really think deeply around what the changes need to be. Unfortunately, in the world, you know, the world has limited us from being able to acquire, you know, some economic opportunities globally. But unfortunately for them, Africa cannot be not heard. Africa has the largest young population in the world, and it's continuing to grow accelerantly in terms of the workforce population that we have compared to the world. In fact, by 2030, Africa will have the largest youth workforce population. By 2035, we will be producing more young people into the workforce than the rest of the world combined. And so we cannot be ignored forever. What that also means is that we need to be prepared. A lot of the education or the skills done today were built for a different world to what the world is moving on now. And so with regards to some of the things that, you know, your young students should be also very mindful of is that the type of environment or work environment that they're going to come into is going to be very different. And a lot of people talk about the fear of artificial intelligence. Will it take our jobs and will it replace people? And the answer is really no. It'll produce a whole new set of jobs that are going to come about. But also beyond that, what is going to be an advantage as the younger generation that has able to adequately get in tap with AI, because we always talk about the idea that a nurse or doctor will not be replaced by AI, but a doctor using AI will probably replace a doctor not using AI. And AI is much more similar to what the internet was 20 years ago and what that did for the world. And so I would love the younger generation today to adopt and embrace the idea that one, your skill set today, embrace with some of the new technologies that are out there. It's good for you to go out and learn them, understand them, and understand how they will have a role for your job and help you do better in your career field. But secondly, is also the opportunities it presents. You know, we only look around our borders, but before lockdown, that was what it used to be. There's never these opportunities where you could work for a overseas company while still here on the ground, or could you hire and become an employer like that? And so I think a lot of the young people now need to embrace some of these technologies that can help give them an advantage. We are fortunate enough, and that's why I said the fortune of the problem that we're addressing is that ours is directly impactful. So early next year, we'll be launching a career navigation tool that really gives, you know, your career advice in your pocket anywhere you go for any career. That's really the first product we'll be launching out of Propela. And these types of roles that we can play with institutions such as Unisa, how do we collaborate to ensure that your beneficiaries or your students are able to tap into some of these solutions? These are conversations we can, of course, take offline, but these are the collaborations that we need to find amongst ourselves as organizations that represent the students and the next generation. And so how we come together will actually impact how the next generation with us and the beneficiaries we help to support will be able to unlock future opportunities. And so, yeah, I think everyone should just be mindful of those skill sets that are adept not only to one. If you're learning things in law, doesn't only mean you can become a lawyer. That's another thing. There's so many skills that you learn while doing a certain qualification, and how you apply them in different fields is something that you should definitely tap into.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pakade. Thank you so much, sir. And for those who have difficulties on their side, please, you can use our chat. Ms. Lizzie will facilitate chat. And thank you so much, sir. We are now moving colleagues and our students. And also thank you, Ms. Somsu, for handling the Q&A. We are now moving on our very special and inspiring item of the program, the poetry retention by one of our talented Unisa student mentor, Ms Thembi. This performance will guide a creative and reflective break and adding a unique touch to our seminar. Please welcome me and join Ms Thembi for captive poetry retention. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Kaswana, for a warm welcome, and good morning to everyone. And I am just here to render a poem that has been written by Kagiso Manaswe and Esona Maya. So I'll just take you through it. Allow me to take you through it. The title of the poem is Resilience. Resilience. It is the ability to stand through storms, walk through fire, revealing the strength within. Yes, life may bend us, but we shall not break, for we are conquerors, warriors. Our scars serve as evidence that we
are resilient. We are deeply rooted with the purpose of being resilient. Our visions and outcomes may differ, our progress may be slower, but we march on. The same sun that burns us still feeds nature around us, giving us uncontaminated glow. Allow me to utter these words to you and say, we can withstand it all. We can withstand it all, for we are powerful beyond measure. Therefore, we celebrate our defeats and failure because they are the stepping stones to our success. We are unstoppable. We are unstoppable. Although our forefathers were forced to jump ships to feed their masters, yet they had courage to rise above it all and guide us spiritually, instilling wisdom to overcome. Singamanene namanenekazi, and we will never be defeated. We will never be defeated. We are never giving in. We are never giving up. We can withstand it all. We can withstand it all. We are resilient. We are Unisa students. We are the future graduates. We are the professionals. We are the future world changers. Therefore, my fellow students, press on, because your qualification is eminent. As the wise speaker once says, a winner never quits, and a quitter never wins. Allow me to say, you can withstand it all. Thank you.
Wow, wow, such a talent that we have in our Eastern Cape region. Wow. Thank you so much, Ms. Clomelo. Indeed, your performance added a very beautiful and reflective dimension to our session. We truly appreciate the energy. And indeed, we have a talent in our region, and for such, I appreciate. Colleagues, we are now moving to our next segment of the program. We are going to have two distinguished Unisa alumni to present, and that will be followed by our Q&A. I'm going to now call Ms. Ndumiso Ndlalose, our TCGP intern from Umtata, to introduce our first esteemed Unisa alumni speaker, Ms Thembi Nziane, the CEO of Mothudi Service. Ms. Ndlalose will also share more about.
Thank you so much, Chair. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ndumiso Ndlalose, a TCGP intern from Umtata campus. I will be introducing our first Unisa alumni speaker, Ms Thembi Nziane. Ms Thembi Nziane is the CEO and the co-founder of Mothudi Services. She is an Unisa alumna who obtained her accounting science degree with the intention to fulfill her dream of being a CA in South Africa. She is now a serial entrepreneur managing Mothudi Services, a medical company that supplies hospitals across South Africa and other businesses in diverse industries. Ms Nziane is also a sort of public speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm virtual round of applause as we welcome Ms Thembi Nziane to our virtual stage. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As introduced, thank you so much for that introduction. My name is Thembi Nziane, and I am a Unisa alumni. So today, my presentation, what I'll be sharing about is, the spirit of an overcomer. And the reason why I chose this is I thought about it this way. I said to myself, what would I say to my younger self while I was at Unisa? And not only that, but what would I say to myself in the future? So I wanted to deal with more, while talking about my experience, I wanted to deal with things that are able to build you and I, and that are timeless, principles that we can take away. And the only thing I thought I could impact is your spirit. As a person, I am a spirit, you are a spirit, we are in bodies, but we are spirits. And you've carried your spirit from a very young age to this day. Some of us are wounded, Some of us we all come from different backgrounds, and our experiences are not the same. They normally say that it's not what happens to us that actually affects us. It's what interpretation and definition we've put to what happens to us that actually affects us. So today, my job, more than anything, is to affect your spirit in such a positive manner that you are going to remember this for the rest of your life. And the importance of it is this: if words can educate you, if at the end of 3 years or 4 years you can have a degree because you read words, because you learned skills through reading words and through understanding and through impartation of wisdom, then I can do the same thing. And what I love about what I'm going to share is it will change your life forever. You are able to carry it, and it will change your life in a positive manner. So what I want to focus on is the spirit of an overcomer, because each and every one of you, each and every one of us has to be an overcomer to get to where we want to go. Every day we overcome. Every season we overcome. Every year we overcome. And sometimes we are barely surviving. It's not entirely overcoming. So, what does it take? What does it look like to be an overcomer? What does it take to be an overcomer? What are the characteristics of an overcomer? What are the circumstances and the environment that creates an overcomer? So that's what I want to talk about today. I'll share some and bits of my journey. But what I want to impart today is the spirit of an overcomer. From an overcomer to you, who has overcome to be where you are today, to encourage you to continue to overcome and also give you the keys and the skills and the paradigm shift to overcome this life. Before I start, I'm going to borrow thoughts that are going to frame what I'm going to talk about. First John 4 verse 4 in the New King James Version says, "You are of God, little children, and have overcome them, because he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world." Who is the he in you? It is your spirit. Each and every one of us is born with blessings. And this is why every life is seen as a blessing, because everyone is born with things that can add value to this world that are only unique to you, provided that you have access, provided that you are exposed to the laws of life, to the different resources, so that you are able to dominate and manipulate. So today I want to speak to the spirit man that is more powerful. The day you were born, your spirit was more powerful than any circumstance that has been set before you that you're going to go through. What I'm saying to you is nothing should kill you. Nothing can kill you. But if you're struggling, then today we are going to engage the systems that are going to help us damage ignorance. Because every time we are struggling with something in life, it is because in that particular area, there is darkness, there's no light, meaning you're ignorant of certain things or certain laws that are applicable. Because if somebody can be successful in the area where you are struggling, then you can be successful if you engage the set of tools that they are also engaging. And that speaks to now what I want to do. We want to create a paradigm shift. What is a paradigm shift? It is a fundamental and significant change in the way a particular concept, a way a perspective or an approach is understood, interpreted, or applied. Remember what I said earlier to us. I said that it's not what happens to us, it's how we interpret or the definition of what we've given to what happens to us. What I mean by that is when somebody loses a job through retrenchment or they're fired, there are many ways of dealing with it. Somebody can take their life because they think everything, because they believe it's the end of the world. Why? Because they are the only person who is the breadwinner at home. You see how it's not what happened to that person, it's their interpretation that led to an action that was absolutely unnecessary. So what I'm saying is there is a way, there's always a way out of whatever situation you're going through. You just do not know it. And you must have the spirit of an overcomer to understand. I want to instill this in you. If there's anything you take from my presentation today, take that there is always a way out. It is the former president, the late President Nelson Mandela, who said that greatest glory in living lies not in never failing, but in rising every time we fail, every time we fall. Meaning falling is imminent. It's going to happen in one season or another. Failing is part of life. We fail our way to success. So my purpose for today is to transform the way we think, as I've said, is to create a paradigm shift, change the meaning of how we interpret what happens to us. My purpose, as I was saying, is to transform the way we think. And the main points of discussion today will be, we'll explore a bit what it looks like to be an overcomer, what are the characteristics of an overcomer, and then the three fundamentals that this overcomer who has all of these values or these characteristics must engage. For the context of our conversation today, the laws of life, the knowledge of your field, and your value system. These are going to be very, very important. They are going to be the three elements that you must engage as an overcomer in the context of where you are as a student to have a successful life at the end of it, to have a successful to be a successful graduate, to say, as you now enter, you're going to enter a new season in your life after graduating. But the vision for now, or the end goal, is for you to graduate. So you're going to have to engage these three things: the laws of life, the knowledge of your field, and your value system to be an effective overcomer. So we're going to explore a bit, who is an overcomer, or what does an overcomer look like, or what characteristics are they supposed to have as an overcomer. So the first thing is that an overcomer has to be a visionary person. By visionary, what do I mean? Right now, what you know is, for instance, for me, at the time I was a Unisa student, all I knew is that I want to do accounting sciences. I want to be a chartered accountant. And the point was to make money. At the time, I asked myself, what's the most difficult thing I can do at Unisa? And I said, okay, I'm going to choose this. And then I'm going to do it because at the end of it, there's money and there isn't so many people in the country at the time. So, but by vision, what do I mean? You are fortunate enough if you are at this level, at tertiary level, and you found your calling in life. By your calling, I don't mean your passion. I mean something you were born to do. Remember, I said everybody is a blessing. They come with talent and they come with things. If you've discovered your area of talent, then you are fortunate because you are able to carve out the vision of your life. The vision is where you want to see yourself, irrespective of how you get there. That's where you want to be, and you're certain that's where you want to be, and that's who you want to become. And your purpose and your passion will drive you towards you carving out the vision. So the passion and the purpose help you find what that calling is in your life. More often than not, we always find the passions, we are driven towards our passions in life, and our passion leads us to the purpose of why we were born. And therefore, these two things take us to draw a picture of a vision of where we want to be the day we die, or at the end of our life. This is the life that I would have wanted to live holistically. And then when you have the vision and you have the passion and the purpose, you have to apply, you have to adopt dedication and discipline to it. You need passion that is dedicated, but not only that, you need purpose that is disciplined. There is no point in having purpose if there's no discipline, because something needs to drive it. Something needs to drive the no's. How do you know when to say no? Because not all doors, not all open doors are good doors. Even the doors to prison are open. You know, some doors will lead you to other things. Some doors will distract you, even if it's good. It is not necessarily focused and disciplined, right? So for all of these to happen, for you to be disciplined and dedicated, you need to have mental stamina. Mental stamina speaks about capacity. It speaks about capacity to take. When you fail, to redirect your focus and say, okay, I might have failed here, but I can still do this. I can still do that. Mental stamina speaks unto running and never getting tired until you see the vision come to pass or manifest. So with that, there must be a lot of adaptability and flexibility to that mental stamina. For it to be mental stamina, there must be adaptability and flexibility. The flexibility to move, to redirect when things are not going accordingly. And all of that must be underpinned by resilience. Without resilience, we cannot be. Without resilience, you cannot be an overcomer. We heard it with the previous pope that we need to be resilient for you to survive the vision, for you to become the person in the vision. You must have resilience, and that resilience must be focused. And at the end of it is leadership. Anyone who has a vision is a leader, and those skills must be enhanced because leaders can be cultivated. Yes, there are people who are born with that skill generally, but even though sometimes the skill can be raw because we meet different people in life and we need to learn to engage with those people. And good leaders always learn. One thing that marks a great leader is their ability to learn all the time, the openness to learn. Great leaders, the sustainability of any great leader is having the aptitude to tap into learning each and every day. So that is an overcomer. When you have this, you have the characteristics of an overcomer. You can overcome with the vision, knowing exactly, you need to have a picture, a mental picture of what your life is supposed to look like. Carrying it must be the passion and the purpose with dedication and discipline, underpinned by mental stamina that is going to be withheld by adaptability and flexibility, right? Everything underpinned by resilience. And not only that, that resilience must be focused towards something, and it is led, that vision is led by you. So that is who an overcomer is. Now, the things that we must engage, remember I told us at the beginning, as an overcomer with all of these characteristics, what do I need to know? What do I need to overcome? You need the laws of life, the principles that govern relationships, the principles that govern value, the principles that govern sacrifice, the principles that govern decision making, and the principles that govern the seasons of life. You need to be aware, you need to know that a business is not marketing, a business is managing relationships. It is people who open doors for you. It is somebody who says, I know somebody who is able to do this without you marketing yourself because you've built a great relationships. Excuse me. It's relationships that run businesses. It's not necessarily marketing or technology. It's always relationships. For you to be successful in life, you must know somebody. There is always somebody who can open the door that you're struggling to open. It's always at the center of people. If you believe in God, you will know that God is a God of people. You will know and understand that even if whatever it is that you ask for will come through people. Relationships are everything. You can never live this life and say, I do not need whoever I can access. You cannot succeed alone. If there's something you take away today, you must honor relationships. There are doors only humility and honor can open. Doors only humility can open. Only honor can open. And there is no school you can go to that will teach you that. So these are the laws of life that you need to know and understand. Principles that govern value, that when you are valuable, even if a company is retrenching, they will not let you go. If they want to let you, understanding that your value drives your paycheck. How much you earn depends on how much value you add. Not that you come in early or leave late. The value that you add to the company. When you are there, people are better. When you are there, things change. When you are there, there is growth. And then another one that is very important, champions, overcomers, are underpinned by a life of sacrifice. Every champion, for where they are, they had to sacrifice a lot of things. That is a language that anything in life understands. You have to sacrifice your time. When other people are sleeping, you're up and you're learning, because that's how you get better. We all know that success is underpinned by mastering time. So sacrifice is at the center of everything. While others are sleeping, you're working. While others are doing whatever, you're in the library, learning other skills, adding to what you have. Sacrifice, volunteering your time so that you can be exposed to an industry, exposed to people, exposed to relationships. The principles that govern decision making. And we all know that for every action, there is a reaction. We all know that one wrong decision can change the trajectory of your next 10 years of your life. So how you make those decisions, the quality of your decisions can literally change everything that you do. One mistake, one wrong decision, you can end up in jail tomorrow. One wrong decision. So decisions are very important. You need to understand the principles that govern decision making. That even if when you make a wrong decision, even if you correct that decision, you've wasted your time. So you need to understand the principles that govern decision making. And then you need to understand the principles of seasons in life. You need to know that I'm in the building phase of my life. Therefore, I cannot compare myself with a peer, even though my age who is working. I'm still building. So you cannot live the same lifestyle that somebody else is living while you are in the building phase. Even if your building phase is 10 years compared to other people, where you want to go. Your life is unique. The set of blessings that you have are unique. Therefore, you must recognize the season that you're in so that you don't quickly uproot yourself because you want a result that your life is not ready for. So understanding the seasons in your life is fundamental. Going to the next point, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the specialty of the industry that you are in. You need to know what what you're studying is important. If you're studying law, whatever the case may be, academia is very important. But there is a whole industry that the course that you are doing forms part of. So you need to know what is happening in that industry. You need to know what is happening. What happens, the reason why you need to know is that things change so rapidly. For instance, with technology, you could be studying a 4-year degree, IT degree. By the time you're done, half of the things that you studied in university are no longer relevant. You're going to need A, B, C, D certificates to add to it because the way technology changes now there's AI. How does that make you relevant? Right? So you need to read. You need to have role models in the industry. Today, we are fortunate to follow our role models on LinkedIn. Follow them, find out what they are doing, find out what changes are happening. Seek guidance from experts. It's easy to seek guidance today. You can send somebody an inbox. You can go to a seminar. You can go to a workshop that talks, it speaks onto my next point. Get involved, participate in workshops. When they say ask questions, ask that question. Even if it seems stupid to somebody else, ask that question. Be foolish enough. Remember, I said there are doors only humility can open. You understand what I'm saying? So you will ask a question somewhere and you are desperate for information. And a person who's been an industry expert in that field 15 years can say to you, come follow me, come to my office, and they will change the trajectory of your life forever. So participate, go wherever you need to go, find out what you need to find out, volunteer your time. Say, I'm available, can I please do this? On Saturdays, I'm available, can I please do this? Know your industry, understand what is happening in your industry so that you can be an overcomer. And the last one is your value system. Your value system is important because it underpins every decision you're going to make. It speaks onto your approach, how you are cultured. Where we come from does not necessarily, especially in Africa, because of our disadvantaged background, we have a lot of social ills. We don't have any social equity. So our parents made decisions and behaved in ways that were informed by poverty. So most of them are found wanting. We have to find ways to better ourselves. We have to read books from people, psychologists, to parent ourselves better. So wisdom is very important in this area. Our value system. Don't stick to things that you were born with if they're negatively affecting you. Find new ways. That's why finding role models is important. Find good values and traits about them that you can adopt. You know, we have an African proverb that says a child is raised by a village. If the village you were born in is marred with poverty and there aren't any good role models, find another village. So you pick, even as an adult, you pick from society the good things from people. So when you look at exceptionally successful people, they'll tell you how important their spirituality is. Your faith, what do you believe in? Because that ultimately matters. It means it informs every decision you make. It even informs what kind of organizations you join. So what exactly do you believe in? Or if you don't believe in something, the world will make you believe in something, right? So you have to be grounded. Accountability, self-control. When you fail, how do you talk to yourself? How do you hold yourself accountable to say, okay, I didn't do well, so I need to pick up. What am I going to do? Those things are important. Instead of going out partying, you decide, okay, I'm going to stay in, I'm going to learn, I'm going to read a book, right? You're holding yourself accountable for the future. So it's very important instead of somebody else, because some of us, in my context, I didn't have my parents help me be accountable. If I failed, I failed. I didn't account to anybody. So I had to borrow and find out how do successful people deal with failure so that it doesn't beat me down, that I may be able to stand up. Love. Love is a great value system. When you are passionate, love speaks unto the passion and the purpose. When you love something, you're passionate and you have purpose for it. It's underpinned by love, meaning even the organization that you join, you will love it because you're doing what you love, and people will see your passion. And you will love the people around you because they form part and parcel of what you do. You will protect what you do with everything that you have because you love it. So when everything is underpinned by love, I mean, there is no law against that, right? So you have to love what you do, what you're passionate about. You find purpose because you love it. So every decision you make is underpinned by love. Even when you experience difficulty, you'll have great decision-making skills because it comes from a place of love, because you're protecting what you have. You're protecting what you've built. And then patience, understanding the seasons of your life. That here I have to apply patience. Even when I want to do, otherwise I want to rush the process, the grace to stay. Patience is important. It's a value system. If you have patience, you will go far in life because we don't just do things for the sake of doing things. Is it the right time? Is it the season to explore? Education, formal and informal. This informs how you make decisions. You need to make informative decisions. Your decisions need to be sustainable. But for them to be sustainable and be informed, you need to educate yourself. Education, competence is the basis of confidence. When you find yourself lacking confidence in anything, it's because you lack wisdom, understanding, and information with regards to that particular area. And the last one is perseverance. This one underpins everything. If we do not have perseverance, which speaks synonymously to resilience, if we do not have resilience, perseverance, we cannot achieve anything. So I'm going to leave you with Genesis 1, verse 28. It says, and God blessed them. And God said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the heavens and over every living thing that moves on earth. You have power. Your spirit needs to be awakened. You are powerful, even if you failed 5 modules. Even if you failed, you can still overcome. So I'm hoping this has done justice to emphasize how powerful you are, and all the best with your future endeavors. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to the team. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms Nziane. I couldn't stop you because this was a powerful presentation, colleagues, and for that we much appreciate. I just been informed that you will not be able to stay for Q&A. However, we will see other plan to if we have other questions that are direct to you, but we'll have to come up with plan to interact with you. Colleagues, I'm looking at the time. We're going to go to our next second esteemed Unisa alumni. To introduce him, I would like to invite Ms. Maya, our TCGP intern in Umtata, to introduce Mr. Tshepo Mothudi, the Chief Risk Officer at the Central University of Technology. Ms. Maya, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Khaswane. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Esona Maya. I am a TCGP intern from the Umtata campus, and I will be introducing our next alumni. Mr. TK Mothudi is a distinguished professional serving as the Chief Risk Officer at the Central University of Technology in the Free State, a dynamic institution committed to fostering quality social and technological innovations for socio-economic development in the central region of South Africa. He holds a bachelor's degree in accounting sciences and a BCom law, which are complemented by postgraduate qualifications in forensic auditing and another, risk management. His proficiency extends to certifications in various domains, including financial regulations, health and safety, and project management. He holds the esteemed title of a certified ethics officer with the Ethics Institute. Mr. Mothudi is currently pursuing a Master of Philosophy in Accounting Sciences degree with a specialized research focus on combined assurance, risk management, and governance. At Unisa, he has served as the Deputy President of the National Student Representative Council of Unisa and had the honor of being part of the delegation of representatives to Mumbai, India, on a Gandhi-inspired knowledge and cultural exchange program, the first international expedition of its nature embarked on at Unisa. He has facilitated the session on the MDG of developing global partnerships for development at the first Youth MDG Summit in South Africa and led the Unisa delegation to the International Enactus World Cup competition in Beijing, China. Ladies and gentlemen, let us put our hands together as we welcome Mr. Tshepo Mothudi to our virtual stage. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Maya. Over to you, Mr. Mothudi. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Program Director. Right, thank you for the wonderful introduction, and I think greetings again to the Program Director, SG. Good to have you here. The keynote speaker, Mr. Vuyo Pakade, fellow alumni speakers, our host and colleagues from Unisa, Ms Makanya and Ms Lisa, the attendees present, students and student leaders. Thank you for having me today, and I think most importantly, I'd like to greet officially Ms Thembi Nziane, CEO of Mothudi Services and CEO of My Heart. She is my wife colleague, so it's very difficult to speak after her. However, I'll just do the session justice. All right, so I think your presence here today signifies that the audience we have are individuals that actually care about making a difference in their lives and those of others. So it's actually quite encouraging to have you here and to be a speaker at today's session. So I titled my presentation, even though it's primarily me sharing my experiences, The Pursuit of Excellence. And I'll speak to purpose, I'll speak to learning, I'll speak to relationships and excellence. And where me and the previous speakers overlap, you would know then that we're speaking about truisms and principles. So they apply across the board. All right, so I'm happy to announce that all my qualifications, my formal qualifications, are with Unisa. Just to start from the beginning, when I was finishing my matric, I got exposed to, I think one of my aunts and one of my older friends were with Unisa, and the idea of not attending class was actually quite appealing. So I've been pursuing my education, and because I love Unisa so much, through Unisa over the years. So it's a mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without necessarily accepting it. So as we share our experiences as speakers today, just know that you being individuals listening in, ours is simply to share our experiences, and hopefully you take that which matters to you and can make a difference. We might share concepts that you know. We're just here to remind you of those concepts. So journey with me as I share my experiences, and I share some ideas on how to achieve excellence as an individual, as a student, as a person in life. So the first presentation I wanted to touch on was thoughts and prayers. As young people, as students, as adults, we all have thoughts, desires, dreams that we would like to achieve. And in your journey, you may have financial strain, stress and anxiety, identity issues, family dynamics. There could be different competing interests in your life where you have to balance responsibilities, mental health issues, stresses that come in your life. And all of these are part of that experience of life, things that we have to overcome. Things are part and parcel of your journey when you try and achieve anything in life. And I'm hoping that the thoughts we share with you will help you navigate through these and help you in life as you achieve your goals, your aspirations, your dreams. And to speak to the first element, purpose. So purpose starts with deep self-knowledge. I say this because in my journey, it started with knowing, for instance, that Unisa was ideal for me because I did not particularly like the concept of attending class even in high school. Like the two previous speakers, I actually went to Unisa to do my accounting sciences with the dream of being a chartered accountant. Again, the motivation was primarily money, but I actually enjoyed doing accounting and doing the numbers. This was confronted by reality in the sense that you need to understand when we get to passion, we speak about understanding what excites you. So in my student journey, I then found that which excited me. I was part of the Student Representative Council. I was part of student organizations, leading them, participating in them. And I had a passion for making a difference in society and serving mankind. And in that, having been signed to an audit firm and doing that work, I realized that it was not meant for me. And I would rather pursue my career, in a sense, in community engagement. And that's when Unisa got the opportunity to actually work on community engagement projects where we went into the community and tried to contribute the knowledge, skills, and resources of Unisa to make that difference. So that was exciting, that was fulfilling. And it was actually part of what drove me. Essentially, when you realize that you've chosen a certain career path or studies, and when you get to the top of it, in this case, it was as if I had my ladder against the wrong wall. I had now graduated, I had the job I wanted. However, I did not believe it was meant for me. And that required a significant shift. And the paradigms we're speaking about, it actually required that paradigm shift. So when you are pursuing anything, it's important that you have the passion for it. And it starts with you knowing yourself, understanding what excites you, and then whatever drives you, you then pursue that. To that extent, you then get exposed to certain interests that you should pursue. However, there is a hedgehog concept that I want to share with you from Good to Great. I'd read the book sometime, and it spoke about when you really find your purpose, when you do something that you're deeply passionate about, something that you could be the best in the world at or in the particular industry or field that you're in, as well as something that drives the economic engine. And therein lies the second problem that I had when I had to make another shift in life and in my career. So 5 years in, I'm making a difference. I'm fulfilled inside. And I met a young lady called Thembi Nziane as well. And I realized that even though I have this job, even though I am fulfilled, it is not necessarily meeting the economic engine part because it is not really a career. It was something that I happened to enjoy, that I created a role profile for, and I was getting paid something for it. So that was a pivotal moment because you had a situation where we were both, she had just graduated and I was on contracts. Those of you who work on contract would know sometimes your contract ends and you don't have a job until they renew that contract. So there we were applying for different jobs and receiving, we regret to inform you, letters in our emails over and over again. And I realized that there had to be a shift. Even though I was doing something that fulfilled me, there were realities in life where you're thinking of getting married, you're thinking of building a life, but you don't have the economic means to do so, you don't have job stability. And so that required a shift. Fortunately, me and some colleagues had been discussing different career paths. One of them had mentioned to us risk management, and then I had registered the postgraduate diploma in risk management. And now the shift effectively was to pivot towards that. And I was happy to say that in essence, after making that shift, I was able to then find and land effectively at the time what I felt was a dream job. And just to share this quote with you, that success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. In this respect, it's more about when you are pursuing something and you want to move in a certain direction. Sometimes you don't have to make some big drastic measure. Taking those little simple disciplines can catapult you in a different direction in life. And this is something that you should take in whenever, especially you're trying to make practical changes in your life to have a better life or to be a better person. And so just to close off our discussion on purpose, I'd like to share that it's about identity, in that knowing who you are and what you want to achieve. The inspiration of it where you're pursuing something that's in line with your passion, something that you're excited to wake up in the morning for, that you can be dedicated. And then inertia is the part where you start taking action and building momentum towards achieving that. These normally apply a lot to individuals who are in business because of the nature of the environments that they're in. But even in any space, you can also be intrapreneurial. That is to say that you can continue to innovate in a space even though you're employed. So whatever your hands finds to do, do it with all your might and pursue it. And in time, it will bear fruit. So that was speaking to purpose. The next aspect of things was the learning. So something I'd like to share with you with the learning is this quote by Jim Rohn, and you see him come up a lot. Even though he is late, a lot of his work, he acts as a mentor to me. So a huge catalyst that changed my life, at least, was being exposed to books, being exposed to self-development books. At a time when I wasn't living to my full potential, these actually took me out of that doldrums. I was disengaged, and moving from that to being a student leader, to being a student activist, a change maker in society, and eventually a young senior manager, was an openness to learning. So taking a look at books like The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, The Compound Effect, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, these could be instrumental in changing your life for the better, because it's really not just about the education you pursue as a student, but that you pursue in your own time where you're looking for opportunities for self-development and empowerment. So you need to pursue knowledge not just for the sake of studying and passing, but more to empower yourself to be a better human being and achieve more. But a big part of that is implementing those things that you learn, and also seeking opportunity when you are pursuing a particular career, that things you've actually learned that relate to that career, you find avenues to apply that. I say this because I was fortunate enough my portfolio is actually quite large, where a lot of the things I learned as I was coming up are now part of my portfolio, where we have risk management, business continuity, compliance, ethics, investigations, health and safety, strategic projects, and now the new portfolio I have in institutional effectiveness and efficiency. So all of these things that you pick up and you learn as you read, as you grow, could play a role in future, whether in your business or in a company you're employed in, where you can actually add value above and beyond that which might have been your original role or your original job. So take those steps to learn, to contribute, to add value. So this is one of my favorite quotes: only a life lived for others is a life worth living, by Albert Einstein. And this obviously stems from a lot of the contributions one was making as a person, being a change agent, but that when you're pursuing your goals, people and a cause that's larger than yourself is actually sometimes a better motivator and a force than just selfish interest. So in pursuing anything, relationships are important, but looking at just beyond yourself is even more so. To the extent that when I speak about people being important in relationships and having a mutually beneficial network, my wife I met at Unisa, my best friends I met at Unisa, to the extent that even though it's an ODL environment, a lot of what I've been able to achieve stems from those relationships. Even me being here today is from those relationships. So in life, relationships are important. And the old adage, the African proverb that speaks about, if you want to travel fast, travel alone. If you want to travel far, walk with others, is quite instrumental in that respect. And to that extent, you need to learn how to communicate with people and adapt to the different communication styles out there as you develop yourself. Mentorship is important, approaching potential mentors in order to get wisdom and advice, and actually getting people to open those doors for you because they have your best interests at heart is part and parcel of that relationship management, where you are working with others that have your best interests at heart. So next part is related to the practicalities of implementing your dream or achieving your vision, because a goal without a plan is just a wish. And to that extent, I'd like to share with you a model that I've applied over the years on how to pursue excellence and how to achieve not only within my personal goals, but even organizationally in my team. This is the part where we start with structure. So as a person, you need to identify how you want your life to be structured and envision that future for yourself, and then put in motion a strategy and a plan in order to achieve those goals and aspirations. You have to begin with the end in mind. So having systems then developed to put in place so that you can implement those plans to achieve your desires becomes the next part of that. It's said that in the Olympics, everybody who, I think we just watched the Olympics now, everybody who's standing on that line actually has the dream, the goal, the vision of winning the race. But they rise and fall on their system that they had in place to prepare for that race. And more often than not, the ones with the best systems in place are likely to win. You'll hear a lot of speakers that speak about, if you want to exercise, it may be better to put out your gym clothes the night before so that everything is ready for you in the morning and you start working out. Or if you want to drink more water, you put water next to your bedside so that when you wake up, it's the first thing that you see. And some of these work, they are ideal in that they remove some of the extra effort you'd have to do in order to implement a difficult task. So it's important that you put systems in place so that you can live the practices that you need in order to achieve your goals. So socialization, this is where you diligently implement that program and integrate it as part of your life. So in that, when you've identified exactly what you want to be in life, the goals you want to pursue, the targets that you have, the plans that you have, integrating them into your everyday becomes critical to making sure that you actually achieve it. And it's not just a distant thought. So integrate it into your everyday life, and that increases your chances of achieving that. All right. Okay, so some closing remarks and practical advice. And here you'll see that me and my wife think alike. Perseverance. Failure is a crucial part of the learning process. Embrace it and learn from it. As a student, you know that you might not always pass all your modules, but you use them as a stepping stone to pass and move to the next level. And you might not always achieve everything you intend to achieve, but perseverance becomes that crucial part that takes you to the next level. success takes time. So be patient and persevere through the challenging times so that you can get to the other side and achieve those dreams that you want, not only for yourself, but for those around you, and build a better life for others and pay it forward. Adapt to the changing environment. As I've shared with you, my career changes, my dream changes in a sense, where I've had to move from something that I thought I wanted to have and achieve to something that I believed was important to do and achieve. And then reality shifted me to something that I'm actually quite adept at and I actually enjoy doing. So moving from pursuing a career in chartered accountancy to one where we do community engagement projects that make a difference in society, to a career in risk management that also includes a lot of components that I've carried through both those roles is quite important. So adapt, stay curious, be open to new ideas, new technologies. The world is changing. So adopt those in order to leverage and achieve your aspirations. Okay, in the interest of time, embrace challenges as an opportunity to learn, and these can be a catalyst for your growth. So view feedback and criticism as information for improvement, and don't just take it in a negative spirit. I think that could set you on a path to achieving excellence as you pursue it. So reflections. We touched on purpose, where you identify your life's purpose, your passion, and your pursuits. We spoke to development, where you focus on personal development and cultivating those relationships with others that could help you reach your goals, and excellence on a model of how you could effortlessly execute and make a contribution to your life and society as a whole. And with that, I thank you, Program Director and colleagues. It is, again, an honor and a privilege, and I'll take any discussion points. In the event any of you ever visit Bloemfontein, this is the hotel school at Bloemfontein campus of the Central University of Technology, and they serve the finest food in the country. Leadership, I hand over to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mothudi. Such a powerful presentation, as we can see with hands. Thank you so much, colleagues. And please allow me, Mr. Mothudi, in the interest of time, we are going to be flexible with our program and move the Q&A to our second segment of the program. I encourage students to jot down their question very briefly, and let's just go straight to our second segment of the program. We are going to attend to those questions in our second segment of the program. For now, I'm going to request Ms. Nokela from East London TCGP to introduce our next speaker, Advocate Happy Nkabinde, an advocate of the High Court of South Africa. Ms. Nogela, over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lihle Nogela, a TCGP intern from the East London campus. My role today is to introduce our third alumni speaker, Advocate Happy Nkabinde. Advocate Happy Nkabinde is a practicing advocate of the High Court of South Africa. He holds an LLB degree from Unisa. His areas of specialization in practice include third-party civil litigation, labor law, administrative law, specifically tender review applications, criminal law, and energy law. He is currently registered for an LLM in international trade law with a special emphasis on export taxes. Advocate Nkabinde also holds 9 certificates in nuclear security, ranging from nuclear cybersecurity to nuclear regulations. Recently, he was invited to give a presentation at the United Nations, specifically the International Atomic Energy Agency. His work previously includes working for Unisa as a lecturer in the Faculty of Law and the Department of Public, Constitutional and International Law for 3 years. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Advocate Happy Nkabinde to our virtual stage. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Advocate Happy Nkabinde. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Over to you, Advocate. Thank you.
It's still morning. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, Program Director. Good morning, colleagues from Unisa. Good morning to the previous speakers, the Unisa Alumni. And most importantly, good morning to the Unisa students. When Ms. Makanya or Mam Makanya invited me to present, she said to me, it's a young professional seminar. You're gonna have to give it an inspirational and an inspirational story as to how you got here. That left me wondering, is my story as to how I got here inspirational, and is it also such a great story that it was worthy to be presented here today? But nonetheless, I had to think deeply about it and then come to a point as to what will I present about and how will I present it. Colleagues, students, my story is not so different from many others that many other students who maybe are listening to me right now. My story is the story of a young Black African child from a disadvantaged background who has a dream to pursue their studies and try and be the best at what they do. So I come from a not very well-off financial family, and so my story is not unique. There are many of us who share that story. So inspirational, I don't know, but what I can do today is give you tips or a step-by-step as to, from being in such a circumstance or coming from such circumstances, how and what are the tools that one can use in order to elevate themselves to get to a position where I currently find myself in, or you'd want to be in the future. So as I was being introduced, there are certain things that they didn't mention, and they will also fit in hand in glove with what I will say. And it's not about the CV itself, but it's about what I want to emphasize by telling you this. I am also a certified security guard. Apart from being an advocate of the High Court, I'm a certified security guard. And further to that, I did plumbing. Not many know that, but I know plumbing. So my story is that with what I'm trying to tell you about plumbing and security guard, apart from being an advocate, is that you need to not only, when you focus on your studies, not have a closed mind as to say that I'm only studying law and that law is the only thing I'm going to look at. You need to open your mind, because coming from a background that is not financially well off, you also do need to make some sacrifices, because you can't necessarily pay your fees 100%. So you need to supplement as to how you pay for your fees. So hence situations of where one would need maybe a security qualification in order to get certain odd jobs so that you can supplement for your fees. So I was very fortunate when I started. My mom could only pay for my first year, like the main speaker. My mom could only pay for my first year. My second year, I got a bursary from the Mpumalanga Attorneys Association, as it was known then. They then paid for my second year. Then my third year, I then had to make means to try and pay for that. And luckily, my fourth year, I got NSFAS, and that's how I managed to pay my Unisa fees. So coming back to what I was saying is that when you study your degree or the course you're in, you should not necessarily just focus on it entirely. Read beyond your course, read beyond your degree and your course. The previous speaker, Mr. Tshepo, he was a colleague that I know and a fellow student that I know when I was still at Unisa. And he was one of those people who read beyond their course. He ran a student organization called MSA or COMSA, if I'm not mistaken. But, you know, he was chairperson of Black Managers Forum. So he understood business, he understood leadership, you know. That was apart from him trying to be an accountant. So he read beyond his course. I have a particular interest in energy. I read beyond law, hence I did a lot of certificates in nuclear energy, so that if ever our country needs to develop into a nuclear energy reliant state and it relies on nuclear energy, then one would be an expert in that field, you know. So that's the first thing. Read beyond your course. Don't be, as they would say in Afrikaans, worklopped, to say like having pedals like a horse and you don't look on the outside. And then the second thing is get involved. While you're still a student, there are many, many other organizations and programs that Unisa offers to all its students. I know for law, through the Unisa Law Clinic, they offer street law and moot court and the like. So get involved with those things. Get involved with your Law Students Association. Get involved with all other associations, not even if they're outside of the study that which you are doing. So get involved. And what that does is that it opens your mind up to think differently and not to be confined to only thinking like a lawyer or thinking like an accountant or thinking like someone who's doing IT. So if you're, let's say, studying IT, if you get involved with an organization outside of your degree that is involved in social work, you then get to learn to think like someone outside of your field, and which then broadens your horizon into becoming a greater person in IT or a greater person doing law. You get to have a holistic knowledge, because believe me, I think one of the speakers did say earlier on that your knowledge of your subject that you're doing is not limited to what you are doing. You know, we live in an ever-changing world, so you need to be adaptable to change. And being adaptable to change means that you need to be a holistic thinker. And being a holistic thinker, it means that you must be engaged with activities outside of what you are studying. don't necessarily be too ego focused on what you're doing, on your studies, but think broader and encapsulate the other fields that are out there as well. Another pointer I could give is that get a mentor earlier on in your profession or your studies. As Mr. Tshepo had stated before, and I would say great minds think alike, but he's a greater mind. If you get a mentor earlier on, a mentor will help you avoid pitfalls that are avoidable. And so a mentor is someone who is basically someone who's walked the road before you have walked, and they would help you navigate and circumvent certain pitfalls and challenges that you can avoid while you pursue your career. A mentor is also very important in that the mentor provides you with connections and lifelong relations and colleagues. So we all know the saying that it's not what you know, it's who you know. To a certain point, that is very true. And through getting a mentor earlier on, it helps you to have these connections in life that will then help you and make you a greater person. If there's an interesting statistics that says, for us, the older ones, would know that on every Sunday, you would open the newspapers. At the back of the Sunday Times or the Sunday World, you would see all the jobs that are being advertised. You know, those jobs only amount to about 10% of the jobs that are out there on the market. And they're primarily within the government space. But jobs within the private space and basically the other 90% of the jobs that are not advertised there, how do you think people get those? Yes, there's social media now, but still through connections, and not necessarily nefarious or illegal connections, but connections of knowing someone who knows someone, or knowing someone who can give you an opportunity. And you can only do that through having a network. And you can build a network while you are still in your early phase of development as a student through a mentor and befriending people who have traversed this road that you still need to walk. So the other tip I can give you is to be adaptable and embrace change. So what I mean by saying be adaptable and embrace change is that not every challenge or adversity that comes your way is necessarily a bad thing. As they stated earlier, that I used to work for Unisa as a lecturer. My contract ended and it was not renewed. And that time you are used to the salary of a lecturer, but now you've qualified, now you need to go outside and work, you know. That is an adverse situation where you know that now I need to start doing articles in order to get into the legal profession, but articles only pays this much, and my needs and my debts are now this much. That is not a favorable situation to be in, but if you challenge that situation head on, you take it head on, you then can find yourself in a situation where you actually find yourself in a situation where you are better off than had the contract not been cancelled. or had the contract not been renewed, if I may say. So that is what I'm saying, that your plan may be linear, but it's not necessarily God's plan that it should be straight and linear like that. I see I'm running out of time. They see the program director has switched on his screen, but I have just 3 more points, and they shall be brief and short. And then the other thing is that, especially in the legal field, this field is a very small field. So don't burn your bridges at all. We are all connected. I know people in the Eastern Cape, people in the Eastern Cape know people in Gauteng, in Bloemfontein, Western, everywhere. This field is very small. And especially law, it's a referral law, it's a referral field, it's a referral type of work. What speaks for you is what you hear from the other person saying, this person does good work. And the last point I want to give to you as future alumni, if I may call you, is that you must learn to grow from adversity. And what I mean from growing from adversity is basically know your strengths and know your weaknesses earlier on while you are studying. Don't waste your time, like myself and my previous speaker, pursuing a career where ultimately 3 years down the line you find that it's not what is meant for you. I tried to be an attorney and it was terrible. I would have been a terrible attorney. Maybe I would have been struck off by now. But being an advocate is where my strengths lie. I talk reasonably well and I research, I think, even reasonably better than most people. And combine those two, you have a reasonably good advocate who can win cases. And if you're an attorney, you need to be very good in organization and keeping diary and keeping a schedule. And I'm very terrible at that. So I wasted time doing that when my skills did not favor that. So that's why I'm saying just know your strengths and know your weaknesses earlier on, and then adapt yourself towards where your strengths favor you. So in that sense, I'm saying learn and grow from adversity, as they do say that adversity is the mother of all innovation. If you can do that, then you are set on a trajectory that will take you way, way further in life. I think those are my step-by-step Nkabinde's instruction as to how you can succeed, coming from not so good background in the legal profession. And one thing, hard work, it really does pay off. Thank you so much. Thanks, colleague.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. A round of applause, colleagues, for advocating Nkabinde for such inspiring and insightful tip on achieving success. Your words really resonate well with many of us as we continue on our path to success. We really appreciate your time, sir. Thank you so much. We are now going to move to our final alumni speaker of the day. To introduce him, please welcome Ms. Katlego Kobola, our TCGP intern from Gqeberha, Port Elizabeth. Ms. Kobola will introduce Prof Feleni. Over to you, Ms. Kobola. Thank you.
Thank you. Fellow students, guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you all. My name is Makita Katlego Kobola, a TCGP intern at Gqeberha campus. It gives me a great pleasure to introduce our last but not least speaker for this event. Professor Usisipho Feleni is a thematic area leader of applied electrochemistry and a C2 NRF-rated researcher in the Institute for Nanotechnology and Water Sustainability.
Her research expertise is on electrochemical biosensors, electrocatalysis or catalysis for monitoring disease biomarkers such as pathogens for SARS-CoV-2 and pharmaceutical contaminants in water. She has published more than 80 papers in the areas of various nanomaterials and in their applications in electrochemical sensors, electrocatalysis, and photocatalysis. Additionally, she is currently supervising or co-supervising 10 MSc and 9 PhD students. Professor Feleni obtained external research grants from TIA, NRF, SASTA, TESP, RSC, WIR, and University of Michigan STEM Africa Initiative. Her recent awards and recognition include 2024 NRF Excellence Award for Early Career or Emerging Researchers, the 2024 Unisa's Women in Research Leadership Award, the 2022-2023 T.W. Kambule NSTF Award for Emerging Researcher, the 2023 South African Women in Science Distinguished Young Women Researcher, the Standard Bank Top Women's Award for Top Women Leader in STEM 2023, the 2022 Principals Award for Excellence in Research, and the University of Michigan African Presidential Scholars Fellowship 2021 to 2022. She has made several keynote and guest speaker presentations at national and international universities. Ladies and gentlemen, let us put our hands together as we welcome Professor Usisipho Feleni to our virtual stage. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I thank you for that wonderful introduction. As I've been introduced, I am Usisipho Feleni from Exofimvaba, Eastern Cape in the deep rurals. So I've heard so many speakers today talking about various things which are going to be covered in my own talk. But then because we are here to motivate and encourage the younger generation to move into their fields of expertise and make a difference, not only in South Africa, but also worldwide. So just to talk you through my journey, I went to the University of the Western Cape, where I did my BSc degree in chemical sciences. It was a 4-year degree. I never thought that to get to a PhD level, I will have to study for more than 10 years. So the thing is, when I was in high school, I did not really understand or did not know what I wanted to become, because at that time we did not have electricity where I was coming from. We did not have role models. One of the speakers spoke about role models. I did not have a role model. We did not have even people who were coming to showcase some exhibits or to tell us about career paths. But then what happened to me when I was doing grade 12 is that I had a family member who was HIV positive, and taking medication, but the family member passed away in 2006 when I was doing my matric year. So when I sat down now during my matric, I realized that we do need people to come with solutions regarding the health pathway. It can be a drug, it can be a metabolism or that sort of line. So I wanted to be a pharmacist because I thought a pharmacist is someone who's going to produce medicine. But because I did not have a lot of knowledge in that. So when I went to the university, unfortunately, the course was already full. So I applied under the BSc Chemical Sciences because I saw that chemical sciences, I see chemistry, that's what I did in high school. I see physics, I see mathematics, I see English. So I continued, but then when I met my supervisor during my honors level, I told him, I said, I wanted to develop medication for ARVs or people who are HIV positive. Then he told me that in his lab, they are not developing medication, but then they are developing tools that will monitor the drug toxicity or drug metabolism rate of patients or people who are taking this medication. So because now I was fascinated, I was like, I want to improve the quality of life and also to be able to help people who are HIV positive. So I took a project that was based on developing a tool for checking or monitoring how much of these pills are in the body or in the blood of the people who are taking this medication and what really makes them to be sick. So I got to understand that when we go to the doctor's office, we understand that the doctor, if you are an adult, you'll be told you have to take 2 pills 3 times a day. If you're a child, 1 pill 3 times a day. It's not always the case because the metabolism rate of each individual is very different. Hence, some people get sick when they are taking 2 pills 3 times a day. So I got fascinated and continued with masters in nanoscience. It was a 2-year program whereby now I was looking into the nanoscience field. Nanoscience is we're using nanomaterials that we cannot see with the naked eye. But these nanomaterials were very, very important and are still very important in terms of developing technologies for the future. And I continued with my PhD. My PhD took about 3 years, whereby I was now developing systems for detecting or monitoring breast cancer drugs. That was a tamoxifen, because we realized that women are suffering from breast cancer. And I had friends at that point in time whereby they had only one breast. So I was very, very curious in understanding as to why, this tamoxifen would, when people are taking this tamoxifen, does it have an impact or an influence in their systems? Because it can only be taken within a 5-year period. So then when I did that project, I got to understand that people with breast cancer, they have to monitor possibly every month, to be checking their breast, to be monitoring the pills that they are taking. I continued with my postdoctoral fellow. It was a year. Usually a postdoc is 1 to 3 years. So I did my own postdoc within a year because I then applied for a job at Unisa. When I was employed at Unisa, I started as a senior lecturer and I became a senior lecturer for 3 years. After 3 years, I became an associate professor. And yeah, we're hopeful that in future I will become a full professor. Just to take you through my own journey, yes, I talked about my studies. But then when I was doing this PhD, we had an opportunity in my lab whereby our supervisor was able to send students abroad for a 6 months or a year visit. So for me, when I was doing this PhD, I went to Sweden. I spent 6 months in Sweden. And I had friends. I still have those friends. One of the speakers here spoke about having good relationship. Relationship doesn't mean that you have to have a friend only in Sweden. It means that even in your classroom, you can have a friend that can end up being a collaborator. So in terms of my traveling experience, I've been to various countries for a research visit and forming collaboration and connection. I've been to Missouri in the US, Spain, China, and Singapore, and other countries that are in Africa. The reason for this talk, I decided to use a different approach, although I will be incorporating my own experience as well as the reason why possibly if I'm talking about women, it does not mean that this talk is about women, but also to highlight some parts whereby women are being promoted now in the next generation. So now, just to give a brief introduction is that we do all know, or possibly some people do understand what a Black Lives Matter is all about. So when Black Lives Matter started, there's been a lot of requests or of programs or attention being paid to the equity or transformation, because in the field of STEM, that field has been a male dominant for the longest period. That is why now that when the Black Lives Matter came, there has been a lot of talks and a lot of attention that has been paid into ensuring that there's equity and transformation in that field. And also in terms of the government and institutional organization, they also emphasize on transformation because of the national development plans as well as the Africa Agenda 2063. Now, talking about South Africa on its own, talk about the transformation requires that the previously disadvantaged groups, that means that we're talking about women and Black people, to be fully represented in all aspects of society. It could be in school, academic, in government, businesses, and politics. And in this regard, we do understand that this has already elevated women, but we understand that there's a lot of work to be done. But then, because I'm a woman in a scientific field, it does not mean that this talk is focusing on women, but it is just to provide a scenario of the challenges that women are facing and that they have to still perform in the academic field or in any field. Now, in terms of the academia, because now I'm a professor of chemistry in the university, are we really coping? Because I supervise mainly women. I do have male students, but most of the women I supervise, they have kids. We understand that we have to produce in terms of bringing a capacity development at home to become a mother, to become a wife, a single parent. And also in between that, we have work demands. And even giving birth is another challenge that we're facing. And on top of that, we have to be able to do all of this, being a wife, a woman, a single mother, and we have to perform and excel in whatever we do. It can be in school. If you are doing your first year and you have a child, let us say you are staying with your own child, it can be difficult because you have to ensure that in the morning you dress the child up and then you take the child to preschool or something like that. Now, in terms of me being in academia or in any field, we understand that there's a lot of competition or competitiveness. In any field, people are very competitive. We understand that in academia, people are very competitive. It can be openly or not. But then if people are too competitive, this can become a burden to people whereby it can lead into stress, it can be discouragement or encouragement, or even people leaving their own work because they are very, very competitive. They can become very envy. And also we understand that there's a belief system whereby it is often assumed that women are not as competitive as men. So the question that I have is that how, if you're a woman in a male-dominant field, in order to be successful, what do you need to do? It's one question: to collaborate, to work with a fellow women. So as I've mentioned that one of the key points or one of the activities that I spoke about in the first slide is that the government and institutions, they enforce the equity and transformation. So at Unisa, for example, since I started working there, they have put so many boundaries. They have put so many solutions into and ensuring that women are being, collaborative enough or supportive enough to be able to perform and work as a group. Because in the actual sense that people, it is very difficult to work in isolation or in silos. We do really need to have a networking or a team building so that people can be able to complement each other. I'm talking about technology, I'm talking about physics, I'm talking about having an interdisciplinary connection with other women. So for example, at Unisa, there is a program or a grant called Women in Research Support Program that focuses on women from different countries, whereby the PI or the co-PI should be from Unisa, and collaboration can be from Unisa or elsewhere. But it does not limit that you have to work with only women. We can also get involved in or initiate networking with males, meaning that we can work with males in terms of the grants, supervision, paper, or the school outreach. Now, what made my career to move from one end to the other? I did not talk about the funding. When I was doing my undergrad, I was using NSFAS. For honors up to the PhD, I was really using scholarships from CSIR, I was using NRF, and from the nanoscience, because I did a nanoscience, which was the program that came newly when I started doing it. Now, coming to the importance of possibly looking for funding or having a scholarship or having a research grant is that it will provide so many opportunities. For one, that you'll be able to be independent and be successful in your own space. If you are in the field whereby you are already working or you are doing your PhD or master's or honors, you can have your own fund and be able to visit other countries. Because I know for NRF, PhDs are able to travel to a conference or for a research visit. And you can form a collaboration whereby you are able to publish with any other person who is complementing your own research skills. Now, just to give a brief information about how these opportunities are done, possibly created for women as well as males. As I've mentioned in the first slide, that because of Black Lives Matter, because of all the policies that are put into place, now programs that are available, they do focus on women, but they also incorporate some men into the, into the system. So there are so many fellowships or programs that are out there for people to apply for. It's not only for women in science, but they look into humanities, education, and various fields. So it is important that as much as we are in the classroom, we are also aware of what is out there that can benefit us to be able to improve on our CVs. Remember, we understand that the jobs are very, very scarce. And the truth of the matter, when you apply, we always look into the CVs and to be able to see, okay, we have 3 PhDs, but what is different from each and every CV? So possibly you can look for all these opportunities and improve on your skills and improve on your interaction and your connection with other people. Just an example, yes, when I was doing this PhD, I was now recognized because of the work that I did on breast cancer. And I was awarded 2 awards, the Women in Science, which was for a doctoral, and also the L'Oreal, which was the international fellowship. And I never knew that I could be on radio or television at that point in time. But when I received these awards, I became a role model for the other generation. And I was, interviewed on various radios. I was on Expresso, as you can see in this photo. And I really enjoyed the experience of being, talking about science. What can science do for our generation, also for our country? I've been everywhere, as you can see. I don't want to dwell into further details regarding, because of time. In terms of the fellowships, there are so many fellowships that are there for early career or people who are starting from scratch. There are so many opportunities out there. Remember, not everybody is very knowledgeable. Hence, I decided to put my talk to, as much as I'm talking about the experience and also what are the opportunities that are out there that can benefit people who want to extend or improve on their research careers. There are so many opportunities out there that can expand your knowledge and form connections with either South Africa or various countries. So like you've heard in my CV or in the biography, they did mention a scholarship of the University of Michigan African Presidential Scholars. I was in Michigan for about 5 months, and I was working with this amazing group. And now I go to Michigan each and every year. So these are the benefits that allowed me to be able to go to Michigan each and every year and have visibility in my own space. So as part of the program, I was able to have papers, talked about the publication. If you're in academia, we publish a lot. We also did some work on joint supervision. We also supervise various students in order for us to be promoted in terms of the capacity development. And in terms of the funding, we received a grant that forms a collaboration between me and Professor Bartlett from Michigan. Another benefit, you've seen how I structured the opportunities that are out there, is that I was in Spain for 3 months last year. I'm supposed to go back to Spain to complete the program. So one of the benefits is that I was able to meet with all the women from African countries. You can see these are very, various women from various African countries, and we're able to share the experiences and learn leadership. One of the speakers spoke about leadership. We spoke about leadership, entrepreneurship. We talked about career paths as well, because sometimes it is very, very important to be able to share our knowledge and also support one another in this career field. In terms of the career research grants, there are various grants that are available should you be in your lecturer level or junior lecturer level or postdoctoral level up to the professor level. There are various research grants that are out there that possibly many people would not know of. There are grants from the UK, from the National Research Foundation. There are bilateral grants whereby, because I talked about the experience of traveling abroad, having a collaborator from abroad and applying for research funding so that students can be able to travel abroad. There are multilateral grants whereby they involve possibly 5 countries so that we can be able to travel to various countries as well. So, and then there's Sachi Chair. Sachi is based on having your own center whereby you are training some excellence or having a research excellence in your own team. In terms of the awards, there are so many awards that are out there from the student point of view, early career, mid-career, up to the established researcher. But because I understand that I'm talking to the younger generation mostly, I will just focus on the early career, which means the master's, doctoral, postdoc, up to associate professor level. These are the various awards that are out there. But what is needed, or the criteria for each and every award that is out there, is that you must be able to have a very good track record in terms of your publication, should you follow the academic route. There are opportunities in terms of the research fellowships that are out there that people can apply for, because I spoke about competitiveness in the first few slides. So there are NRF Excellence Awards for early career or NRF rating. There are also various, awards that are out there for people to be motivated and encouraged to do more. And this would really lead into the work being recognized either in South Africa or globally. In terms of the academic leadership that I mentioned in the other slide, whereby I was in Spain, it helps a lot. Leadership does not only start when you are already working. One speaker mentioned it. It starts the minute you start your career. It can start from your undergraduate level. But of course, there are people with low self-esteem or they need some sort of a boost. So there are trainings that would help one to really be competitive, to monitor time, because most of the time we struggle because we try to take a lot or maybe unable to manage the time. One of the things that possibly the leadership can do is that leadership can also assist one into finding or applying for research grants, awards, or fellowships. and also to develop and manage a research team. I spoke about SACHI. So in order for one to become into that space of leadership, one has to undergo a certain training or to have a mentor or role model that will guide them on the career path, on shaping their future so that they can be very, very competitive and become leaders of the next generation. Now, because I mentioned that I'm from Tsofimvaba, I was awarded an RF SASTA to build an exhibit in my hometown. I have a team that is going to train because we have a National Science Week happening from the end of the month. So all I'm saying is that we have to have an impact, have a drive to bring back to the community where you are coming from. Never forget where you are coming from. Ensure that you do perform, you are hardworking, you are determined, you are focused. Because if you are not focused, it will take some time for one to perform. So those are the take-home notes to say, go back to your home village or anywhere whereby you can have an impact and influence. Because in my time, we never had any technology. We never had any Wi-Fi. We never had any role model. But us, at this point in time, were able to go back and improve the quality of the education, or possibly be the role models that would impact in terms of the career paths, impact in terms of the technologies, because we understand that most of the time in the villages, we do not have a lot of equipment to showcase. There are no labs at some point in time, but we as the new generation, we can have an impact and influence to say, even where I'm coming from, there should be a technology whereby all the learners are able to learn and have a hands-on experience that I never had when I was growing up. So those are the take-home notes to say, keep up the good work, but be hardworking and focus. And then, yeah, everything will come into place. Thank you so much.
Wow, Prof, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause. Prof, thank you so much for your insightful presentation and really for sharing your extensive knowledge with us. It's really fascinating to hear about your experience and the opportunities you've had to visit various, countries, and your global perspective really add immense and value to our program today, and thank you so much, Prof. I will now request Ms. Lisa to facilitate the Q&A, and I'm going to request that let us just be brief so that we don't find ourselves out of time. So please, let's just be brief. Ms. Lisa, if you are ready, ma'am, over to you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Program Director, and thank you to our speakers. We have almost come to the end of our program, but we thought it would be important for us to open the stage again for those of you who want to ask any questions. So you are welcome to raise your hand in Teams if you would want to ask your question live. So I'll give you a moment to do that. And while I'm waiting for that, I will also just check the chat and the Q&A if there are any questions that can be answered. I don't note any hands at the moment, but I think there is quite an interesting question. If I remember well, most or not all of our speakers have spoken about the importance of negotiating mentors or getting to know people who can mentor you. So there was a question in the chat or Q&A where somebody said that it's quite difficult to negotiate to get a mentor. There's even a lot of people asking for payment for this service. So I'm wondering if the speakers that are still with us, Advocate Nkabinde, Prof Feleni, if you have anything to share with us about negotiating a mentorship.
Okay, I'm still here.
Thank you, Prof.
So, okay, because because of time, I did not mention that there are so many programs. I only shared about research fellowships and all. There are so many programs focusing on mentorship in South Africa. I think one of the program is based on higher education. It has SA. I can type it. I don't know how to send it, but it has SA, whereby people will be assigned a mentor. And when they're assigned a mentor, they will be meeting monthly. I'm not sure if that helps, but there are also some international mentorship programs, such as Kyongoza mentorship programs that focuses on girls or women from 18 years to 25 years. So there are various programs that are out there for mentorship. Also, your supervisors, they can be your supervisors and as mentors, because you have to have a very good relationship with your mentors so that they can give you a guide or career guide and some wisdom on certain things of life. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If it's possible for you, Prof, to share just those acronyms that you shared in your answer in the chat, but also the encouragement in terms of, I think, again, the theme for today was perseverance. So also let us help each other in terms of negotiating those important relationships. I see a hand from, is it, sorry, I can't see your full name now on the screen. Mukho, I think is the surname. You're welcome to unmute.
It's Mohome. It's Mohome.
There you go. You're welcome to go ahead with your question.
Yes, my question is to Prof Feleni. Oh yeah, thank you. That's what I was going to ask you from a research point of view, as I am currently doing research with Unisa. So I was going to ask about those mentorship programs that she was talking about, actually to put them down for us so that we can go through them and see if we can also follow the same channels that she has, and probably, even if we're not going to get to her level, probably start she put in hard work into it, but at least to actually elevate our credentials when it comes to research and output of what we are doing as well. And with that, Prof, we thank you so much for an interesting presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Director, I don't see any further hands, or the questions that are left in the Q&A chat are for other speakers. And as you mentioned earlier, we will negotiate with those speakers to also help us get responses to the questions. And with that, I think we are done then with the Q&A session. Thank you, Program Director.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Yes, I think those questions will be addressed by the specific speakers, and I also encourage colleagues to connect with the speakers. I've already connected with Mr. Mothudi on linking in, so I will encourage our students to do that so that they can even on the linking in, have a conversation with them outside this session. Colleagues, as we approach the end of our seminar, I would like to take this moment to thank everyone for their active participation and engagement, and also extend a personal thank to myself for overseeing today's program and ensuring everything went smoothly. It has been a pleasure to guide you through this event and witness the insightful discussion and connection we have made. I will now hand over to Dr. Ndlela, who will provide the closing remarks and vote of thanks. Doc, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. According to Saint Ambrose, who lived many years ago, I quote, "No duty is more urgent than to say returning the thanksgiving to all." So I'm delighted to have been given this pleasant duty of delivering the vote of thanks this afternoon. On behalf of Unisa Eastern Cape Region,
I would like to first extend a really hearty vote of thanks to all our program participants, starting from our Regional Director, the Eastern Cape Regional Director, Mr. Undate Huang Umotale, who gave a profound opening and made it a point that we are comfortable, and thank you very much, sir. Secondly, a special thank you to Umama Dr. Sichange, who gave a warm welcome to all our guests. Also, thank you, madam, for being a link between all of us as a team. We highly appreciate all your hard work, ma'am. On behalf of our university, I would like to appreciate and thank all our 4 alumni speakers. Your presentation displayed that Unisa is a force to be reckoned with. Firstly, I am immensely thankful to Usisi Ms Thembi Nziane for gracing this occasion with such a profound presentation with a full insights that will empower us, staff, as well as our students. She clearly spoke about the spirit of overcome. I like the fact that she said we are born with skills, talents, and we are powerful, and nothing should kill us. And she made a point that ignorance is our enemy to overcome. I also like when you said, Ms Thembi, that about that a damage caused by the interpretation of what has happened in our lives. We should think right and we think ahead. Thank you, ma'am. Secondly, a special appreciation that goes to Mr. Tshepo Mothudi for such a profound presentation. Your well-thought presentation was really motivating us. A lot was said by you. I've also learned from you that nothing wrong to entertain thoughts, but do not just accept them and later model your thoughts or any thoughts. You clearly spoke about the purpose, passion, and discovering what drives us as people. And it was very interesting to note that it also starts from within us. You said we should know ourselves, but we should first know your purpose before you start pursuing it. I've learned a lot, say, when you were talking about the relationships that are important, and we should honor our relationships. Enkosi kakhulu, thank you very much, Mr. Mothudi. Thirdly, our deepest sense appreciation goes to our advocate, Happy Nkabinde. I have noticed that backgrounds or circumstances, difficult circumstances where we are coming from should not determine our destinies. You firstly mentioned that apart being the advocate, you were and you are a certified security guard and a plumber. And you had to sacrifice a lot to change your own situation, which means your destiny. I also learned from you that you were emphasizing the importance of reading beyond your own qualification in your course, but we should get involved while we are students and learn other things beyond our qualification. And you mentioned that we should get our mentors and learn from others. And you also mentioned again, another speaker talking about the good associates as well as relationship. Thank you very much, sir. Lastly, to our Professor Usisipho. Prof, you have sacrificed a lot to be where you are. It is indeed a doable as long as you will sacrifice while shaping your own destiny in the world of work. I have also noticed that you also spoke about relationship. this relationship can grow to become collaborators in the line of work. And many women occupies many roles, such as being mothers, etc. And also they face so many boundaries in a competitive world of work and outside workplace. You make us to be proud of our mothers and women. And you've mentioned that there are so many opportunities that are there for women as well as men. You mentioned that there were fellowship for women. There were also NRF. There was no reason for women not to do it in life, as well as becoming academics, as well as being something in life. This can be evident in your interviews, the awards, shaping the world of science. And what was so outstanding about you, Prof, was humility. We need women like yours to share their experiences. Thank you for taking time to be with us in your busy schedule, Prof. Thank you, Prof. Let us give our speakers a resounding virtual applause, colleagues and students. Without wasting any time, ladies and gentlemen, this day would not have happened without a dedicated team that put everything to make it a success like today. Firstly, I would like to thank you, Mr. Khaswane, the program director, for your excellent smooth running of this program. Thank you, sir, for always being available to support our events. Student counseling. We highly appreciate your dedication to the development of our students. A special thank you to Usis Noloazi, Ms Thembi for handling the first Q&A, as well as presenting a vote of thanks to our keynote speaker, Enkosi Kakhulu, my colleague, Madlamini. A special thanks to Ms. Maya, our own TCGP and our own student, who rendered a very inspiring poem on resilience. I've learned a lot from that poem when you were talking about the outcome and the background are different, but are also powerful. And these backgrounds doesn't make us to stop. They make us to be unstoppable, and we will never be defeated. We are the future graduates, and please press on. We never quit. Wow, it was so outstanding, Ms. Maya. A special thanks to all the TCGPs who did the introduction of our speakers with such excellence. Ms. Nondumiso Mdlalose, a TCGP from Tata. Ms. Esona Maya, another TCGP from Umtata. Ms. Lihle Nogela, a TCGP intern from East London, and as well as Ms. Makita Katleko Kobola from TCGP as well in Gqeberha. Guys, a special thank you to Usis Pinzi, Ms. Kuliswa Pinzi, for all the profound work that she has done behind the scene, as well as Dr. Sichange, whom we call our mother in the Eastern Cape Student Counseling Unit. A special thanks to Usis Lisa, Ms. Lesa Daisel, for handling the second Q&A so well, and you can know that you are always appreciated in the Eastern Cape Student Counseling and the entire Student Counseling Unit. A special thank you to Umama Umakanya, again, who work with us always in the Eastern Cape Student Counseling, as well as making sure all the admin personnel are part of the program, the TCGPs, as well as the student mentors. Your guidance and contribution is highly appreciated by us in the Eastern Cape team. Enkosi Mamakanya, thank you so much for your support in the department. We feel more equipped to handle new projects such as these ones. young professional seminars. Thank you for the expertise as well as your guidance. Thank you to all our students who have participated as the main guest of the event. Yes, in absentia, we can never not mention Dr. Mashapata, the Director of Student Counseling nationally, who made it possible that we actually hold this event in the Eastern Cape. Thank you, Dr. Mashapata, for your leadership. Lastly, to God Almighty, God who is able to do all things and make the beautiful, we give him glory and honor for making today's event a resounding success. With his blessings and grace, we were able to make this event what it is. It was a success. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a blessed day further. Enkos.
Thank you so much. A special thank you, Dr. Ndlela, for your closing remarks. Before we close, we have a quick, very important announcement. One, an evaluation form will be shared with you shortly. Your input are much valuable and will assist us in really enhancing our program for better for next year. So we really request that you take a few minutes to complete the form and share your thoughts also. Thank you so much, RD. And from my side, enjoy the rest of the day. And let's use this time to reflect, to connect with the speakers. And I wish you all the best. Thank you so much, colleagues.